Almost all of my videos suffer from this particular problem, which is all the good stuff is at the end, which is interesting because nobody watches until the end, always. But that's exactly where the juicy and value is at the end of the meditation session. This will be a 1 hour meditation session. I'm doing a 30-day challenge, meditating 2 hours every day to see if my life will change. It already has. This is day 5. Yeah, this is day 5, session 1. I'll be joined by our lovely host, Sophie. And until now, my life has changed in this particular manner. I have become more creative. I have more self assurance, more confidence, and I feel amazing. I just see more colors, more textures. I can process more information, and I don't find myself in a haze. I don't find myself just being on autopilot all the time, and I can focus if you like to focus, if you do this test where you just measure how much is in focus when you look at something, it just expanded. So now I can just focus on many things, and also my brain doesn't have a issue with multitasking as much as it did before. I can look into the camera and I can easily glance and see that the microphone is working and the microphone is on, camera is on, everything else is just so much easier. At some point, I was just looking in the camera and then the alarm, the timer just went off and I could see it. And I immediately, it didn't even start ringing, and I immediately stopped it because you get this hyper alert state that is not really usually when you get into a hyper alert state is because of stress, because of danger. But this time it wasn't because of danger, it was just because of focus. So that's very, very interesting. Also, emotional stability. I feel much more in tune with with my emotions, which in turn makes it more stable as a whole ecosystem of emotions. It's not chaotic anymore. I don't jump from one emotion to another, and it's that's a good thing. Let's start the meditation. I'll be adding a timer for 1 hour and 3 minutes. 3 minutes if in case I need to drink some water or I need to tell Sophie to not eat some cables or to tell her not to bark at the door if the postman comes. Okay? And I looked at the timer, it started, and I'm gonna put the microphone down. And the meditation is over. I decided to do a bit of holotropic breathing in order to get, I didn't know what I was getting out of it, but I did get laser focus. I was just sharp. I did notice that it was after I did that, all of the distractions that I got were based on what I wanted to do and very determined. I was thinking, well, getting distracted by thinking about what I want to do and all the actions that I want to do and taking it to the next level, making it more extreme and pushing myself. So this kind of holotropic meditation where you breathe, you're basically hyperventilating for 25 times or 30 times, and then you hold your breath, you exhale everything and you hold your breath. It really puts you into a state where you are very, very intense. And it really gets rid of all of the thinking and all of the distractions in a more forceful way, in a sense. And I was also thinking and getting distracted beforehand, before this holotropic breathing. I was getting distracted by a funny thing where I noticed in the past few years since I started my first business that almost all businesses that I've started and almost all businesses that I've seen in the world out there run on this one thing, and that is the hope that they will make money in the future, the hope of the entrepreneur that they will grow the business enough to be sustainable, to be self-sustainable. But most businesses fail. Like 95% of them don't ever reach that goal. And I was thinking a solution for that would be just to focus on the sustainability of the business from the start and finding that one, because you only need one distribution channel to really make a business. And if you don't have the distribution channel, then it's not a good idea to build a product, to do some things, to whatever. I don't listen to my own advice, unfortunately. I start a lot of business the other way around. I make the products, make the things, and then find a distribution channel. Well, I do kind of find a distribution channel all the time in the beginning, but I don't test it out to see if it's really viable, if it gets the traffic that I need to make that business sustainable. And the only business I've been really successful at was exactly one where I had a distribution channel that was really sustainable, and it really was from day one. It got momentum and it built and it kept on growing, and that distribution channel has been consistently the same. The more I put out, the more I put in, the more I get out. So it's, you have to figure out first, instead of figuring out what business you want to start, figure out the distribution channel and test it out if there is a distribution channel where you can have outsized returns. Because if it's a one-to-one, your whatever you put in, you're getting out percentage wise like 20%, 30%, then that's not really a good distribution channel. You should find the distribution channels, because it's much easier to run a business and make a business sustainable once you have a distribution channel that gets you 2x, 3x, 4x in or even 10x. If you can find that, that's a huge business. So if you find that kind of a distribution channel, then you can, it's so much easier to build a business in that way rather than going the opposite and building the product, building the thing, and then posting it, and then finding the distribution channel, and then figuring out how to monetize it and make money out of it and sell it. You have to go the other way around. Find a channel and then build a product for that channel. It's much easier this way. And especially if you can build a product that already sells, that already is selling, and there is already demand for it, then it's such an easy way to just go about making a business instead of just trying to figure out, because you're trying to figure out so many more things if you don't start with the distribution channel, with the marketing and the sales part. You're trying to make this square shape fit into a triangle when you can just find the square first and then put the square. It's like so much easier. And yeah, now the question is, how do you find a distribution channel? Let's talk a bit about meditation. Today was 22nd of 22nd of February 2024. This was session 1, day 5, and it was a great session. I was really, really happy that Sophie did not bark at the neighbors because they were very, very chatty on the hallway, on the entrance hallway. They were talking for like 20 minutes. So I was really happy she didn't bark, because usually she barks at them. Well, maybe they would have stopped earlier if she would have barked. This was a very, very successful session. This was a very successful meditation session. I got a few insights about business. I also got this beautiful insight about business, this acronym I call TPM. It's target, pain, momentum. It's decide. The target is the goal, the desire you have. The pain is what you want to really avoid. For instance, in my business, I'm trying to avoid all the time being broke. And the last one is momentum. So all of them, you can think of them as a circle. You don't have to start with the target. Sometimes it's easier to start with the pain, with the thing that you want to avoid. Like, for instance, I don't know, you want to avoid being single, or you want to avoid being broke. The momentum has to do with the skills and breaking them down into very, very small chunks, small amounts of doing the skill, so that you have built the habit of doing that skill. So you don't feel like it's hard to motivate yourself to do that. This is the one secret about motivation that no one tells you. I don't like the word motivation or inspiration. I like momentum because it's very actionable. You do 1 minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes, you do it 10 times a day. In 2 weeks, you have an unstoppable, ungodly amount of momentum just pushing you forward. And if you think that this does not work, everything is momentum. If you have momentum just watching and sitting in bed or sitting and not doing anything, that's because you have momentum. You have built so much momentum doing that. And you it's so hard to get rid of it. So you think that it's because you don't have inspiration and you don't have motivation. But in fact, it's not that. You have too much momentum in one direction, and it's very hard to change direction into another habit. You already built that habit, built those repetitions of just sitting around, watching social media, doing nothing. So that's why it's so hard to motivate yourself. But see, now, if you diagnose the problem wrong, you will never find a solution. And I think that if you focus on motivation and inspiration, those are external things and they are out of your control, and they are not the solution, and they are not really the problem. You have not identified the problem properly. And if you are not identifying the problem properly, then you do not find the solution. You do not find the resolve, the way out of it. You don't have the key to your own success because you are not seeing the problem clearly. You have a haze. You are not using the right terms to describe the problem so that the solution just becomes so easy. Because if you look at a problem, for instance, procrastination, if you look at it from the standpoint of motivation and inspiration, the solution will not be really obvious. But if you look at it from the standpoint of motivation and of momentum and habits, the solution is obvious, because the problem is you have a habit of procrastinating, and then the solution is you need to build a habit of not doing that, and you need to build momentum by because if look at this, look at how easy the solution is. You are procrastinating once or twice a day, but if you do 10 times a day for 2 minutes the skill and the habit that you want to build, you have 2 repetition of procrastination, 10 repetitions of doing the things that you want. Soon enough, procrastination momentum will lower, and the habit momentum and the skill momentum that you want to build will get higher and higher until procrastination will not become an issue anymore. So it's so obvious, and it's so much easier to think in these terms than to really go about motivation, inspiration, where like, oh, yes, yes, just do it. No. Instead of just doing it, make it easier for yourself to succeed. Do it for 2 minutes. It will feel so awkward to just turn on the computer and work for 2 minutes. But do it. Set a timer, do it. Stop after 2 minutes. Don't go overboard. Set out, tell your mind, I'm going to do this, and do it. Do not trick your mind. Don't try to trick your mind, because your mind will, if you want to build, if you want your mind to be your friend, try to keep your promises that you make to yourself. So, for instance, if I put a timer for 2 minutes, I'm going to do it for 2 minutes. If I put a timer for 5, I'm going to do it for 5. And I don't jump from 5 to 1 hour or from 5 to 20 minutes. I jump to 10 minutes or 7 minutes, so that my mind doesn't feel this jump. And just take 2 minutes of break, do another 5, and your mind will instantly understand soon enough that you will not trick it into working more. You will not trick it, and it will trust you to really do what you set out to do. And you will build confidence this way as well. Which is nice. And as always, remember, I'm just a guy on the internet. Don't listen to people on the internet. Don't listen to people with nice, beautiful dogs and nice, beautiful cameras and clean audio. I don't know if it's clean, but anyway. Don't listen to people on the internet, especially me or anyone else. Thank you for watching, and see you later.